dark place. But you know what? That is actually great news for you. And here's why. It's when it's darkest in the world that your light shines brightest. Today, we're going to be talking about using a media that millions, actually billions of people across the world are listening to at this very moment. It's a way for you to connect with your audience in a way that inspires them, in a way that motivates them, and in a way that gets them on the goal to their destination so that they can learn more, create more, and grow more. Welcome to the Bunker Bash. My name is Ed Rush, five-time #1 best-selling author, and your host for the most positive place on the planet for insanely implementable ideas. This is Expert Week, and today I've got a special guest coming up for you. All right, hey, welcome back to Bunker Bash. My name's Ed Rush, and today I've got Paul Colligan, my friend, who's going to come on and talk about podcasting. Before I do that, I just want to jump in and say hello to some of you who have just joined us in chat. And by the way, if you're watching this on live, on video, we go live every single day, Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific time and 1 o'clock p.m., 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific time, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, every single day of the week, at least now, to show you some of the ways to grow your brand, connect with your audience, and have more fun. But we do this live, and then it gets recorded. So I'd love to say hello to a bunch of our friends. Hello, Denise. Good to see you. Iron Core, my man Oz. Welcome, Dr. Tom. Welcome back to Lisa. Hello, good to see you. John Teague, as well as Dr. Wendy Lee. I love that. When it's darkest in the world. Hey, the great news is people are looking for you. Hello, Cherie. Good to see you. Wendell, my man. Welcome back. Doug and Judy. Good to see you as well. Gina, yeah, the cool graphics intro. That's a first time for this show. David just bought a super sweet microphone, so let's get it. Hello, Diana. Welcome back to the show. All right, so my guest is my friend, Paul Colligan. I'm going to bring Paul onto the show and just say, first of all, welcome. Paul is a person who has been podcasting literally before iTunes, okay? And so this is a guy, by the way, Paul, when was it that you first started podcasting? Was it like 2010, 2009? What was the first year? 2004.
Yep. way early. You know, one step ahead, you're a visionary. Two steps ahead, you're a martyr. I have no idea what I was.
You were the pioneer that got shot by all the arrows. So Paul is a friend of mine, and he's the guy who taught me to podcast. And the truth is, today, I'm learning with you. I have a podcast out there called Ed Talks, which at this point hasn't launched the way that I want it to. So I asked Paul to come on and share his expertise. But before I do that, I just want to tell you a little personal anecdote about Paul. Paul wrote, I think he's written about 10, 11 books at this point, but there was a book called Multicast Marketing Machines that Paul was creating. And he asked me, he said, hey, would you consider putting a chapter inside of the book? I said, Paul, I'd love to put a chapter in your book. Thank you for the opportunity. Listen, I'm on the road right now, so I'm super busy, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get it to you in time for the book. And he said, no problem, Ed. Listen, what I want to do is let's just take a recent talk. We had done an event together, and he said, let's just take a recent talk, and I'll take the talk, and I'll have it transcribed, and then I'll have a ghostwriter edit that chapter. We'll just send it to you for approval, and then we can put it in the book. And I said, that would be fine. So Paul did that, sent it to me for approval. Looked great. I sent it back to him. And then about a month later, Paul said, listen, Ed, I just want to thank you for your contribution to the book. It just launched yesterday. And I said, Paul, it's the least I could do. And Paul texted me back and said, it truly was literally the least, least you could do. What's that? It's all about what?
All about strategy.
So, but, you know, Paul's been amazing at creating content and using it in multiple places. Today, we're going to talk about podcasting. But before we do, Paul, welcome to the show, man. It's good to have you.
Well, thank you. Now, I thought Bunker Bash meant we had to do these from a bunker. So I can go home or what, what's the deal here?
You got the, that's not, that, by the way, that's not even a background. This is actually Paul underneath his house.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I'm all into this, man.
You built a bunker, man. I like it. So how are you been doing, by the way? And you ready to rock and roll?
I'm ready to rock and roll. It's an interesting time. I want to tell a story because it's very apropos to what we're talking about here. So a couple of weeks ago, one of my associates did a live stream, because that's what everybody in the marketing space does right now, is they do a live stream about how to handle the time of Corona. And he does this stream, and it was fantastic. It was the framework that I have been taking the entire Corona thing on. It was the best piece of video I've ever seen. Now, the only on this topic, the only problem was either his internet connection was bad, or my internet connection was bad, or Facebook was freaking out, and a lot of the content was like that. Now, have no fear, because on the screen, I saw his microphone, the microphone that I know he uses to record his podcast on. And I know that he would have also recorded the audio of this and released it to his podcast. And I checked about a day later, I checked at the views he got on Facebook. And I know that the listens on his podcast would have been 10 times as much at a minimum, 10 times the reach, better audio. So I text him and I say, hey, when's the episode releasing? He goes, well, it's not. I did this as a Facebook Live. And I said, well, you're going to release a lot less people are going to hear this message. A lot less people are going to benefit from what it is that you have to offer. And he texted back, yeah, I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Think about the tech and think about how you can reach the most amount of people. Now, Ed, you're in a situation where, like, as you said, your podcast isn't doing as well as Facebook Live. So in this particular case, what you're doing now is smart. But let's use the tech to reach the most amount of people with our message. Let's not use the tech to impress our friends that we're using the tech. Make sense?
And the truth is following, and by the way, a really nice comment, and I want to find this. Let's see. It was John Teague who said, Multicast Marketing is the book that made me start a podcast.
Hey, John.
And the truth is, this show, Paul, every third or fourth episode, the ones that I want to highlight actually are being turned into podcasts.
Absolutely.
And
that was the only reason I volunteered to do this. Exactly.
Just like you taught us to, frankly, way back in the day, to use one piece of content to stream it multiple across the world. So we're going to get quickly into Paul's tips. He's got 9 tips to grow your podcast or to launch a podcast if you want to. If you just joined us, my name is Ed Rush. This is the Bunker Bash. This is a show, the top 9 podcasting tips to broadcast your message. I'm here with my friend, Paul Colligan. You ready to jump into the strategies, Paul?
Let's do this, man.
All right. So take me to strategy number 1.
Okay. Been doing this for 15 years. First book came out actually 2 years before the iPhone did. One thing we've learned over the last 16 years is that every podcast needs 6, the number 6 team members to be successful. Okay. Now, a lot of people are saying, oh, I'm the only one doing it. John's got his podcast. Maybe John is wearing all 6 hats, but you need the 6 team members to be successful. And I want to walk through these 6 team members because they're really important. And I have stories of what happens if you don't have that team member and what happens if you do have that team member. But let's go through. Number 1, strategy/review. That's the first team member. Ed, I was on the phone with a massive podcaster, millions and millions of downloads, who could tell me the strategy for his show with such clarity. It was as if mom had needle pointed it, when it was right above his desk and he looked at it every day. He could just tell me this with emotion and passion. And I asked him, how's it going? He goes, I don't know. See, strategy and review. Strategy without review, pointless. Review without a strategy, what are we looking for? Strategy review is the first person. You need that person. Do you have that person?
All right,
Number
so
2.
as you're watching live, someone throw the notes into the chat. So 6 team members, and Paul's saying it doesn't have to be 6 people, but it's 6 roles. And the first one is strategy and review.
Strategy review is number 1. Number 2 is kind of obvious. You need the talent. But what's interesting is the talent doesn't necessarily have to be brand new. I've been saying for years, I said in Multicast Marketing, I said that, take stuff from the archives, make it a podcast. And everybody's like, oh, no, that's lame. You need to recreate your own stuff, blah, 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 nerd. And then all of a sudden, you know what happened last weekend? Oprah released the last 25 years of her TV show as a podcast. Okay?
Interesting.
The talent. You need the talent. That's number 2.
And for most of you, your talent is you or
Exactly.
the guests that you bring in. Yeah.
That one's usually easy. Okay. Number 3 is the edit. Lots of options for edit. Sometimes you're the one who needs to be editing. Sometimes you want to hand the editor editing over to someone cheap. Sometimes you want to hand the editor editing over to someone expensive, depending on what you're trying to do. But someone's got to edit the thing. Nice, simple, easy. Number 4 is the publish. Somebody has to publish the thing. And this industry of publishing, it changes a lot. It changes on a consistent and constant basis. Ed, what do you think has more Americans every day? Podcasting, Spotify, or Pandora? Do you remember Pandora?
Yeah, the old, well, I guess it's not old. I watched the movie Avatar the other day, by the way. So
Yeah, that's a different
also
Pandora.
the
Yeah.
planet. But,
What do you think has the most amount of North Americans every day?
Spotify.
No.
Podcast.
No. Pandora.
Pandora, for real.
Pandora reaches more North Americans every day than Spotify or podcasting does. And here's the funny thing. Pandora has podcasting on it.
Huh.
Now, Ed, is the Ed show on Pandora?
It's interesting. I just saw on your website, you've got a show about Pandora taking over the podcast world. This is super interesting. Keep going.
Yeah. So anyway, the publish thing, make sure as new people pop up that you're there. Clear Channel, spending millions and millions of dollars promoting their radio app, the radio.com app. And you know what? They're taking podcast right now. So publishing isn't just an issue of uploading it to your feed and clicking the publish button. It's an issue of making sure that you are everywhere a podcast should go. So number 1, strategy review. Number 2, talent. Number 3, edit. Number 4, publish. Number 5, promotion. You know, a podcast without promotion is like a, webcast from your basement. Wait a minute. From your bunker. Wait a minute. It's got to be promoted. This idea that you just put something up at Apple and people find you and all of a sudden you have 1 million users, that's no more true than it has been. You go on YouTube and you find 1 million users, or you make a website and you find 1 million users, or you go to TikTok and you find 1 million users. That lie, we got to get over it. And I blame Kevin Costner. If you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
It's no more true for this. The thing has to be promoted. Now, the funny thing is if you just think through promotion, it's not that complicated. Ed, I have a client who said to me, well, Paul, how can we promote this thing? And 3 minutes earlier, that person said they had 1 million email opens a day. Opens, 1 million.
Interesting.
And they asked me how they could promote the show. Not complicated. Okay. Then the last one, and this one's huge. Someone's got to manage the whole thing. You see these podcasts that come out every often regular because this didn't happen before this or that kind of thing. Somebody's got to project manage the whole thing. And those are the 6 hats. And the very first step of getting a podcast out is understanding who's going to wear those 6 hats. Now, we've got a website called Team Before Tech because everybody usually thinks, oh, what microphone, what host, what name, what artwork. No, Team Before Tech. Okay. And if you go to teambeforetech.com, we have a copy of our tool called the Team Clarity Matrix. And basically, it's just 6 name badges, and you just write in the name of who each of these people are. And it's okay if it's not you. It's okay if you put in the word Fiverr. It's okay if you put in the word consultant. If it's okay if you put in the word my kid, but all 6 people need to have a team. So if you go to Team Before Tech, you can get our worksheet and 6 videos about the 6 different characters and how to get those ready. So that's number 1 on the list.
Number 1 is
every podcast needs 6 team members to be successful.
6 team members. Strategy review. Number 2, talent. Number 3, edit. Number 4, publish. Number 5, promotion. Number 6, manage. And by the way, that doesn't have to be 6 different people. A lot of podcasters start out by being all 6 of those. I will tell you that with my podcast, the first person I found was the editor. Because somebody just to make your podcast sound good, and they're not even that expensive. But the website, and I will throw that into a lower third in just a second, Paul, but it is in the description of this show, both on YouTube and on Facebook. We've got some goodies to give away for you, and that's not the only one. In a moment, we're going to give you a great gear list as well. But the website is Team Before Tech, and number 1 is your team of 6 people. Paul Colligan is my guest. We are here on the Bunker Bash, teaching the top 9 podcasting tips to broadcast your message. Paul, take me to number 2.
Number 2, treat tech as your friend. Okay. A lot of people, tech, we've got to conquer it. We've got to figure it out. Treat tech as your friend. Treat tech as your friend. If you're scared of what's going on, you're doing this wrong. Okay. If every morning you get up and you're battling a software program or a function or a style, no. Tech does our bidding. We don't do tech's bidding. Let me give you an example of that. Okay. We've got a piece of tech called Dial Talk Done. I'm going to even pull it up here on the iPhone. All right. So Dial Talk Done. There's two buttons. You talk or you import. All right. You talk the podcast through. Once you're done there, you preview or you publish it. Okay. That's it. You dial, talk, you done. It takes the audio, it cleans up the audio, it levels the audio, it equalizes the audio, it adds the music at the front and the back, and it publishes it. From 8 minutes from the time you push publish, it is live on iTunes.
Wait, this is a tool that people have access to? Is that the?
Yeah, it's in the App Store right now.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so where can someone find that?
At the App Store.
Oh,
or dialtalkdone.com.
It's okay. So dial talk
done.com.
Okay.
Dial it in, talk it out, and you're done. Now, by the way, what if you're one of these people who wants to it to go to the editor first? You can talk it out and it can send it right to the editor, and then the editor can publish it. What if you're the person who wants the editor to publish it and then or editor to edit it and then you want to publish it that day? That's all built into this. But it's 4 buttons, Ed. Even you could handle 4 buttons. So I've got podcasters who are going out every week getting content out like a regular basis. And then I go to these events and I see people who are like, what microphone should I buy? Ed, who's your favorite stand-up comic?
Oh man, I've got a couple. I was watching Hannibal Buress recently.
What microphone does he use?
Up on stage?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wait a minute. How can he? Well, okay. Who else do you like?
Jim Gaffigan.
What microphone does Jim use?
The one that works.
The one that's on the stage.
The one that's on the stage.
Who's your favorite singer?
Oh, my favorite singer? I don't know. Let's say Neil Diamond for the
What microphone does he use?
The one that he's in front of him on stage.
Exactly. And it works for stadiums. It works for arenas, And yet somehow the podcasters, we think our success is in spending all this time to try to figure this out. So if there's software that makes it easy, use it. If there's tech that makes it easy, use it. If there's an editor who will make this easy for you, use it. Tech is your friend, not your enemy. That's number 2.
All right. So number 2 is tech is your friend. Here is number 2. And we're at the Bunker Bash. My name is Ed Rush. I'm with Paul Colligan. We are talking about the top 9 podcasting tips to grow your brand. Paul, what's number 3?
Number 3, know your niche. It's quite simple. If your podcast is for everybody, your podcast is for nobody. The finer detailed your podcast is, the closer the niche, the more money you're going to make. I have a client calls me. Okay. Client says, hey, Paul, that whole advertising thing, how does that work on podcasts? I'm like, well, first of all, you got to get about 10,000 downloads per episode for someone to want to put an ad on your show.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's only about $40 per 1,000 downloads. So you get 10,000 downloads, you're making about $400. And by the way, you're only getting about 350 downloads per episode. And he goes, oh, that's all right. The podcast is doing pretty good for me. I'm like, well, good. Define pretty good. He goes, well, I'm getting 2 or 3 leads a day. Great. How many do you close? Oh, at least 1 a day. I'm like, great. Math is easy. So we can take whatever lead's worth times 365. What's a lead worth to you? Well, 3,000 grand minimum. 3,000 minimum, not 3,000 grand. I guess that'd be bigger. 3,000 minimum. I'm like, so wait a minute. You are at a minimum closing 3,000 times 365 a year on your podcast that gets less than 350 downloads and has been out for about 10 months. Huh, yeah. Love clients like that. And, he knows his niche. His niche is very, very, very specific, but they buy.
Yeah.
And he's not trying to be all things to everybody. He's got his very specific niche. He gives them exactly what they need. They call and they buy. So that your niche. So $1 million podcast, less than 400 downloads per episode.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. So Paul and I used to stand up on stage. We used to do these hot seats. So it was Mike Koenigs, Paul Colligan, and me. And we would bring someone up on stage, and basically we did this for like 5 years. Then someone would sit in between us, and usually one of the first questions that we would ask is, who's your product for, or who's your message for, or who are you targeting in terms of your niche? And I would say at least half would say the same thing to that question, which is everyone. And that's not a market. Because the truth is, everyone might need what you have to offer, but everyone doesn't want what you have to offer. So what Paul just said there is really important. If you have a podcast that gets 350 listens, that's not success or failure. It's what happens with your business because of your podcast. And I really like that. You could target America's top CEOs, which are about 500 people, and maybe 2 of them listen to your podcast, and 1 of them signs up as a client to work with you for $150,000 a year. So that's a great point, by the way, which is you figure out how you determine success, but it has to do with your niche or your market. I really like that. Thanks, Paul. All right, so we are 3 through 9. So right now I've got number 1, your team of 6 people. Number 2, actually I've got them right here. Hold on. You need 6 key team members, and Paul described exactly what those 6 are. Number 2, tech is your friend. Number 3 is to know your niche. We are in the top 9 podcasting tips to broadcast your message. My name is Ed Rush. I'm here with Paul Colligan. Paul, take us to tip number 4.
Number 4, and I love it that you and I are doing this together. Have a conversation, not an interview. People ask me all the time, how do I be a better interviewer? How do I be Oprah? Don't be Oprah. Oprah's Oprah. She's doing a much better job at being Oprah than you are, but you can have a conversation. Ed, bring back up your face. Ed and I are buds. We're having a conversation and you're involved with it. Nobody's walking away. I'm looking here at the comments. Nobody said, wow, Ed, your interviewing skills are really convincing me to get a podcast. They're seeing that Ed knows Paul, Paul knows Ed, they like each other. We're seeing the results and it's going from there. And the thing is, if you look at your podcast as a chance to have a conversation, everybody listening to this, everybody watching this, everybody live has had a conversation before. And if you know your niche and you have a conversation with a leader in your niche to other people who are listening to your niche, that wins. That beats an interview every single time. Just have a conversation.
Yeah, I mean, interesting. So I learned how to interview from a guy who used to work at Esquire magazine, one of the top interviewers in the world, a guy named Cal Fussman.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Just an amazing guy and brilliant guy. And I learned how to ask questions from Cal. And then I basically realized that that wasn't the style that I wanted for a show. Because when you get together, like for example, when Paul and I get together and have lunch, I don't sit over the lunch table and go, so what have you been doing lately? So how's that working for you? So tell me more. So what are your top 5 tips for growing your brand? Like I don't ask a question, answer. I ask a question, he answers, we laugh, we tell a story, then we converse about something else, and then I share an idea that I've been using, and then he shares an idea that he's been using. We have a conversation, and I like shows, frankly, that do that. And by the way, there are times when you do want the person to go a little bit deep on the content, but that's also part of the conversation. And so I actually started that when I started Ed Talks, my podcast, Paul. I started it by telling people, these are conversations. These are not interviews. These are 2 people talking about a topic, because I didn't want people coming on and thinking, oh, this host guy talks too much, because I wanted us to be able to talk, because that's what real people do. Now, if you watch,
and let's workshop this. Everybody in the comments right now. By the way, Fortin boy, been way too long. Jim, been way too long.
Yeah, so we're just going to say hello to Michael Fortin.
yeah, type in, everybody. Type in, what would you rather hear, a conversation or an interview? I'd be really curious to see. I bet you, I bet you the stats will just tell us the truth. But yeah, conversations are easier. Conversations are more intimate. Conversations are better. I mean, it's not that complicated, and you've all had conversations in your life. So you can go back to that experience. And you don't have to learn how to interview. Now, if you can, it's great. And you learn great stories and that kind of stuff. But the fact of the matter is, conversation, not an interview. Let's hit the next one.
Yeah. And actually, just to throw one more thing on that, the place. So if you watch Joe Rogan, who I think is
Bingo.
probably top 2 or 3 podcasts right now in the world,
He's
Joe,
with a bullet.
he just talks.
Yeah.
He just talks and he goes on a rant and then his guest talks for a little bit. And I actually learned that initially. If you listen to Howard Stern, and by the way, I know some of you don't like Howard Stern because of the content, and I get that. But if you just listen, that guy, all he does is just have literally, he gets paid to have 3 hours of a conversation. All right. So,
and by the way, in the chat room, 100% they prefer
conversation. Conversation. So there you go. David Zetz. I like being explained topics. Like
David, when a mommy and a daddy love each other very much. No, go ahead.
All right, we are in the top 9 podcasting tips to broadcast your message. By the way, welcome. If you just joined us, this is the Bunker Bash. My name is Ed Rush. I'm here with my friend Paul Colligan. We're talking about podcasting, and we are sharing the top 9 tips. In fact, we're going to give you an extra one here towards the end because Paul always under-promises and over-delivers. Yeah, we got one extra one. But before I jump into that, Paul, take us to, I think we're up to number 5 podcasting.
Number 5. Okay. This one's amazing that this isn't followed, but look at your numbers. Look at your numbers. Look at your numbers. Look at your numbers. Well, what numbers can I get? Well, first of all, you can get downloads. And that's an interesting number because if you do a season of 10 episodes, one of your episodes will get downloaded considerably more than the other 9 will. Why? Well, because that's a headline, basically. You know, that's the subject line in the email or that type of thing. Something is going to intrigue the audience to do that. That might be the time where you get found in Apple search. So there's the downloads. But here's the thing, Ed. What if you got 10,000 downloads and 10,000 people stopped listening 4 seconds into the podcast? Is that a win?
Still a download. It's not giving you your business objectives or whatever you want to accomplish.
Well, if your business objective is downloads, go to Fiverr. You can get millions of them cheap.
Right.
Like if your only objective is downloads, you don't even really need a podcast. Just get a web server and write a script. You know, it's not that complicated. So if your business objective is the downloads, you have a bad business objective.
Yeah.
But you can look at the numbers and you can see how far did they listen. And by the way, if half your audience, more, 10% into your episode leaves,
yeah,
that means that 50% of the people said, this isn't for me.
Yep.
Wow. First of all, that's a great piece of knowledge. Not to do that kind of episode anymore. So it's a great piece, but you can look at that. Apple gives you those numbers. Spotify gives you those numbers. You can look at things, distance over time. One of the things we track for our customers is we track a thing called the new content ratio. And the new content ratio is in any given month, how much of your downloads was content that was released that month. Now, I have permission to share this. Joe Polish, I Love Marketing, one of our clients. In October 2019, less than 20% of his downloads were content released in October 2019. More than 4 out of every 5 people were going to his back catalog and listening to stuff in the back episodes. Now, by the way, that whole technology is your friend part. There's the ability to click a button and have a commercial running on a podcast episode that's 5 years old.
That's right.
So although it's a 5-year-old interview, it's a commercial for what you're doing this week. Aha, tech is your friend. And by the way, if that kind of stuff freaks you out, hire a consultant to run it for you. Not that big of a deal. But know your numbers, know your downloads, know your consumption, know how long a podcast stays popular, know how much they go to the back catalog, know the numbers that matter, because then you can make business decisions.
Yeah, interestingly too, it also helps you. So 2 things. First, it helps you write good descriptions for your podcast. So
that'll help with the downloads.
Let me just tell you what's not a good description for a podcast. Episode 3 is not a good description for your podcast because no one goes to search in Google for episode 3. And if they're searching for episode 3, it's not your show. Okay.
And by the way, the first couple of words for your description is not in this week's episode.
That's right.
Because that's something nobody's looking for either.
That's right. So let me just give you a couple of examples of ideas for how to title an episode. The top 9 podcasting tips to broadcast your message is a good title for a podcast episode because it's got the deliverable right there. So here's a test on titling. If someone asks you, what is that all about? After you say the title, your title doesn't work. Okay. For example, I would never say the show's called the top 9 podcasting tips to broadcast your message and have someone go, so what's the show about? I could, however, say something like the elephant is yellow. And people go, what's that all about? And I'm not using that. I'm not making that up. That's actually one of my former friends, one of my friends' former book titles before she changed it. It was The Elephant is Yellow. So you always want to have a book title or a podcast episode that people can immediately know what the content is. And the second thing,
Donald Miller has the grunt test.
Yes.
And it's fantastic. Grunt test. Caveman look at title, caveman grunt, caveman know what show is about.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Don Miller broke that rule on Blue Like Jazz, but
that was before. He's learned a few things since Blue Like Jazz.
but it was before. And by the way, you can break the rule. You just have to be really, really good. Right. The second thing on the numbers, which is really important, is to understand and be realistic about the numbers. So I'll just tell you that I track all the numbers on these shows, this Bunker Bash. And the first, second, third, fourth episode, I started going through all the numbers and I realized these are hour shows, roughly hour shows. The average listen for the shows were about 18 to 20 minutes. And I have to say, at first I was offended because I was like, wait a second, this is an hour show, man. Why isn't the average person watching 18 minutes? And what I realized is that's about 18 times the average on YouTube in the plus column. So that was actually really good because you have to remember, for everybody watching 1 hour, there's somebody who watches the first 5 minutes and says, oh, I'll come back and watch it later. So that actually was a good number, but I didn't know at the time it was a good number. So the point is, know your numbers, but also know what's good and what's average, because you may get
now. Can I make a bet? Can I make a bet with you?
Yes.
Okay. If you look up the consumption of that episode on the podcast version, and I know you've released some of these as a podcast, I will bet you it is at least 2 times as much.
Longer, right? Because people consume podcasts longer than live video. Is that what you think? Yeah. Interesting.
Not what I think. What we've looked at the numbers, my friend. It's not a gut feeling. It's not. Yeah, it's the truth.
And the thing about podcast is it's meeting someone where they're at. So the truth is, there are people who don't watch video. There's people that don't read. There are people that listen. There are people that read, and there are people that watch. And I will tell you, I've asked and surveyed as many people as I could get to. And some people are like, look, all I listen to is podcasts. There's other people who are like, all I do is watch YouTube videos during the day while I'm working. I just have YouTube videos on. There's other people who are like, all I do is read. And you want to have your information out in all of those formats. Back to multicast marketing, right? It's back to like the original foundational principle for Paul. All right, so we are in the top 9 podcasting tips to broadcast your message. My name is Ed Rush. I'm here with Paul Colligan. Paul, take me to number 6.
This one might hurt. What are you laughing at?
Well, I mean, all these are hurting in some way because I'm feeling like, gosh, this has got to get some work done. And by the way, we've got some free resources for you.
We do.
To help get the work done for you. But good.
Yes.
Give me number 6.
Accept responsibility for your actions. I know people who spend a pie chart chunk size of their week on their podcast, and they have no idea how it's doing. And it might suck. It might be doing terrible for you. Not all podcasts are good podcasts. Trust me on that one. Take responsibility for what your actions is. If you have, on the average, a 50-minute show, and on the average, people only listen for 30 minutes, and you keep doing a 50-minute show, shame on you. Okay? If you don't know your download numbers, you're just hoping that it works, and, well, people tell me they like the show, shame on you. Okay? Take responsibility for your actions and for what you're doing, and the whole game will change. Nobody ever says, I threw a lot of money at Facebook ads, and I don't really know if it's making me any money.
Yeah.
Nobody ever says, oh, I just bought a really expensive consultant, and I have no idea if it's good for my business. But yet, podcasters now say, yeah, I do a podcast. I really don't know what it's doing. Take responsibility for your actions. Accept responsibility for your actions.
Yeah, that's good too, because when I get asked to be on someone's podcast, I will almost always ask the question, how many downloads are you getting per episode? And I know a lot about the person the moment they answer that question. The last one I was on, the guy had the immediate answer to episode downloads and overall downloads, and it was actually quite an impressive number. It was a guy who was just previously interviewed on Bunker Bash actually last week. So the point is, if you're looking to attract quality guests, having responsibility and taking responsibility for the performance of your show actually really does help. So I like that.
Yeah.
All right. We are moving on to number 7. This is top 9 podcasting tips to broadcast your message with Paul Colligan. Paul, take me to number 7.
Number 7, serve your audience, not the checklists. People come to me and I can tell they bought, the $7 bundled podcast ebook package on Warrior Forum or something like that. And then they have the checklist of things they're supposed to do. And they say ridiculous things to me like, well, I need to make sure that when I launch my podcast, I launch with 10 episodes. And I ask them, what's your podcast about? I don't know yet. What are you trying to do with your podcast? I don't know yet. But I just know that I'm supposed to launch with 10 episodes, or I know that I'm supposed to buy the same mic that Ed uses, or I know that I'm supposed to use Audacity, or I know that I'm supposed to do this. If you don't know how this podcast is serving your audience, don't do the podcast. And it goes back to the niche part. Of course, if you don't know who your audience is, don't do the podcast. But if you know who they are, then you can ask, how does this serve my audience?
Yeah.
Now you're at an entirely different game. And so if you are trying to do something that you heard you are supposed to do for a podcast, but that doesn't match what you know your audience needs, stop it, throw it away. If it's in an article that Ed wrote, if it's in an article that I wrote, don't care. Stop, throw it away, serve your audience. When you bring someone on your show, serve your audience. Even if it's the biggest person in the world, if it doesn't serve your audience, don't bring them on your show. Okay?
Yeah,
serve
and one of the
your audience, serve your audience, serve your audience.
That's right on. One of the questions, one of the best things to ask is the question what someone wants.
Yeah.
Full transparency, full disclosure. Before I launched this show called The Bunker Bash, I sent out a survey to my list. It was actually one of the most responded to surveys that I've ever had, that I've ever sent out. I had over 150 responses. And I asked them, what are the kind of things that you want to talk about? Frankly, this show that we're doing right now, Paul, you and I, is part of one of the responses to that particular survey. On Monday, y'all don't know this because I'm just writing everything for next week. On Monday, I'm going to do an full episode on how to stop trading dollars for hours and get paid what you're worth. The reason I'm doing that episode is because the number 1 survey response was on that topic. And so intermittently, I've been teaching that as the guests in between teaching from the guests. And so what Paul just said is right. It's 100% about the people that you're serving and what they want in their time right now. So it's one of the reasons why, if you notice, when I start this show, I always start with a statement about you, because fundamentally the show is always about you. So that's very good, Paul. Cool. We got 2 more, man. You ready to go?
Yep.
All right. This is the top 9 podcasting tips to broadcast your message. My name's Ed Rush. I'm here with Paul Colligan. We've done numbers 1 through 7. Paul, take us to tip number 8.
Number 8, have a plan that you're willing to adjust. Have a plan that you're willing to adjust. What's your plan? That's the whole strategy review character I chatted about at the beginning of this. Have a plan that you're willing to adjust. Had a client comes to me and client says, we think our audience wants a 40-minute show. We go, great. Let's do season 1 of a 40-minute show. We did season 1 of a 40-minute show, 10 episodes in the season. And guess what? Across the board, everybody listened to about 20 minutes. Okay. They adjusted. You know what they did? Season 2 was 5 episodes of 2 parts, part 1 and part 2, each 20 minutes long. They were really into that 40 minutes of content thing, And so season 2, episode 1 was part 1, season 2, episode 2 was part 2, that kind of thing. Guess what happened? Guess, Ed.
Season 3.
Well, season 2 happens, and they listened for about 5 minutes of episode 1 of part 1, and they didn't come to part 2. The audience was saying, "I don't want 40 minutes of content."
Right.
So season 3, being a good internet marketer or a person who doesn't get hired for the good stage gigs, what they did was they decided to do a 40-minute episode in 20 minutes. You know?
Yeah.
And that was even worse. And then finally, season 4, they did a 20-minute episode.
Yeah.
And people were consuming all the way to the end and purchasing product and sharing with friends and commenting on social and doing all these things. And so the plan was a 40-minute show, but they were willing to adjust it because they looked at the numbers and realized that what their audience wanted was a 20-minute show. Now, does that mean, oh God, Paul just told me that we have to do 20-minute shows? That's what I learned at the Bunker Batch. No.
Yeah. Thank you. But
wanted a so have a plan
yeah,
that you're willing to adjust.
Thank you for saying that last part too, because sometimes we get into the mode where if it works for somebody else, it's bound to work for us. So your show is your show. You might have a show on money that people want to listen to you for an hour. I listened to, oh shoot, I probably listened to 2 or 3 episodes of the Navy SEAL. What's his name? Jocko. That guy's show is like 3 to 4 hours long. All right. That's not a show I would listen to for that long, but I know people, friends of mine, who've listened to there's like 150 episodes, 4 hours long. Okay. So for his show and for his people, 3 to 4 hours is right. For the one that you just mentioned, Paul, 20 minutes is right. And here's the thing. You don't know that until you do it. Okay. So now is the time to get into motion. Now is the time to get into action, because what you're going to see, and by the way, you've been seeing this on this show too, you start to see things change and morph based on your audience and what they want. So that's good. I like that, man. All right. That was number 8, which was have a plan that you're willing to adjust. By the way, that's a very good military strategy as well. So there's a phrase that says, no plan survives contact with the enemy. So it's nice to have a plan. A plan is a place to start. And I'll tell you that I don't know any business owners who look back 5-10 years and would ever have guessed they were going to be where they are right now 5 or 10 years ago. And it's true for all of us. All right. So we're coming down the pike onto number 9. And by the way, in a moment, we're going to catch up with your comments in chat, which have been so good. Thank you, Denise, for taking notes in chat. That was very nice of you. I'd love to hear what your biggest takeaway so far has been with Paul. We will have just a few minutes at the end of the show, probably like 3 to 5 minutes at the most for open Q&A. So if you have a question, type it into the live chat that says question and a little semicolon, and we'll make sure Paul gets your question.
We'll do rapid fire. So do the type of question that can be
rapid fire questions. All right, come on. So we are in the top 9 podcasting tips to broadcast your message. My name is Ed Rush. This is Paul Colligan. Paul, take us to number 9. There's some 3 letters in here someplace.
No, your OCG, optimal consumption goal.
This is like you're down with OPP.
Oh, yeah. OCG, optimal consumption goal. How much do you want them to consume the show? If you're fine with them checking in, that's great. If you want them listening to the whole thing, that's great. Know what your goal is and then test to that goal. If your goal is 80%, are the episodes getting 80%? If your goal is 100%, I got clients who are doing episodes that are getting 104, 105%. They're actually listening and rewinding. By the way, those aren't very long episodes. But what is your optimal consumption goal? You got to know what that is. Then you got to know if it's working or not.
So somebody who's starting a podcast, let's say their goal is to build their list, just to build their email following or their online social media following. Where would someone start with an OCG or an optimum consumption goal? Where would we start with that?
Well, at what point in the episode are you telling people to join your list?
Right.
They got to listen at least that far.
So let's say that's 5 minutes in.
Is getting them, I've had clients who have put ads in their shows that are fantastic, amazing, Michael Fortin level ads.
But they're at the end.
They're at the end, and the people only listen about 50%, and they thought the ad was bad. But the fact of the matter was nobody was listening to it because they didn't go that far into it. So if your goal is to get people to join your list and you make the offer for the list 10 minutes in, then your OCG is 10 minutes in.
Interesting. Well, that is interesting because I was on Johnny Dumish's show, which is essentially about a 22-minute show. John does a commercial break right in the middle, but Tim Ferriss on his show, it's commercial right in the beginning. So, is that based off of what they understand in terms of the listener length or where they want to put their ads, or how does that work?
Well, Tim Ferriss has said in public many times that he puts all of his ads at the beginning and he expects people to skip through them.
Well, that's good because that's what I do.
John has said many times that the reason he puts ads in his shows is because he teaches people to put ads in his shows and he has to lead by example.
Okay.
The numbers to look at when you're looking at John and the numbers you're looking at when you're looking at Tim is how much Tim gets for CPM for ads that he encourages people to click over. Amazeballs. And for John, when he does his monthly report, look at how much money he made in affiliate marketing versus how much money he made in ads, and you'll know where the real money is.
Interesting. Right, because John publishes all of his...
They're all there, man.
And by the way, if you're just starting out or if you've got a podcast that you're just growing your listener base, the first thing to do, forget advertising, forget going out and looking for sponsors. The first thing to do is to throw up a very simple lead page. In a moment, Paul and I are going to show you a very simple lead page and throw up a very simple lead page and see who goes there. If you have 200 people downloading your episode and 100 people are opting in, that's actually pretty good. You're rocking it. Okay. So start there because that's how you can start to see how an audience responds. I had a fishing podcast. Paul knows this back in the day. Actually, Paul helped me launch this fishing podcast. We were in the top 25 of all sports podcasts. I think it was the #1 sports podcast. We were in the top 25 of all podcasts at one point when we launched this fishing show, which was amazing back in the day. I don't even know why I did that, frankly, but I did. And that we had literally thousands of people that were entering into a contest that showed us, hey, guess what? Our listeners are actually taking action. So the first thing you can do is put up a simple opt-in page and start driving your folks there for something free just to see how they respond. So that was number 9. All right. So, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 questions. We're going to do rapid fire. But Paul, you've got a bonus tip. Tell us your bonus tip, and then we'll do some Q&A.
Bonus: make your decisions based on the numbers. If you make a decision based on, I heard that, I think that, I feel that, you're making the wrong decision. We can track how much they download. We can track how much they listen. We can track, I love people, how do I know if my call to actions work? Well, we'll track it. How do I know if it's call to action based entirely on my podcast? Only make that call to action available on your podcast. Make decisions based on your numbers. And that's why the whole rules at the beginning was track your numbers. I think that, I hear that, Tim Ferriss this, Joe Polish that. Forget it. Make decisions based on your numbers. You do that, and the podcast will do really, really, really well. If you base on anything else, it's, I can think of a lot of bad words to say, but it's just not a really good idea. So the take home that I want everybody to put in here, and we'll go to the Q&A rapid in a second, is just decisions based on numbers.
Yeah, so make your decisions based on your numbers. And I'll tell you, that doesn't just work for podcasts. That works for everything you do in your business, period. Actually, in your life too. I will tell you that the best people, the best event promoters know, if you ask them how many people show up to your event versus how many people register, they know that exactly. If they ask how many people stay for the whole time, they know that exactly. The podcasters know their numbers. The internet marketers, we were just talking about Michael Fortin, who's one of the best copywriters in the world. I can guarantee you every business Michael works with, he knows the percentage opt-in rate on each of the pages that he's created, the number of people that sign up to take the next step. That's what great marketers do, and that's what great business owners do. So make your decision based on the numbers. Thank you, Denise, for your awesome notes inside a chat. You are amazing. All right, Paul, so we've got about 7 minutes left. You want to just do some rapid fire Q&A? Yeah,
let's do some rapid. Put up the link. So I have been asked for 15 years for the gear guide, and finally we got smoked the constantly updated gear guide. If you want to know what we recommend at the podcast partnership, go to podcast/recommends. Right now, it's a Google Doc that we update on a regular basis, but that's the microphone choice and the streaming choices and everything's there.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen real quick,
and then I'll just
show you.
Oh, here we go.
I'm going to show you 2 things. So the first thing is, this is. Hang on a second. There we go. This is the website Team Before Tech. This is where Paul said you can go download your free stuff. There's also a video series there. And the other website was, tell it to me again, Paul, because I had it.
Podcastpartnership.com/recommends.
Podcastpartnership.com/recommends. And by the way, those links are in the description below, but when I typed it in wrong.
Podcast partnership, not the. Podcastpartnership.com/recommends.
All right, so I'm gonna jump out of the screen sharing before I completely make it. It's below you in the description, okay? Both on Facebook and on YouTube. I don't know why, Paul. I decided to start.
It's all right. It's all right.
I typed like a chicken on amphetamines. It's a minor miracle I've been able to write 5 books, and I actually wrote those with my fingers too. All right, so those are the free places for you to go, and that's where you can connect with Paul. So let's bounce through some of the questions really quickly. Dennis Bauer, first question. Paul, do you check your numbers daily for all tech social media, or how frequently?
I don't check. I don't check every day. I have somebody internally give me the once a week numbers. What happens on Tuesday doesn't matter. What happens this week matters. That's
good. So, and that's just so you know, that's what I do too. I have my team aggregate numbers and deliver them to me in a format that I can digest, so that I don't have to go click it every
quickly.
Great. Aaron Miller, my man from Dallas, Texas. Question: what is the best way to find podcasts who are looking for guests? Just for some context, Aaron is an estate planning attorney. So if he's looking to be in front of his market, where would you suggest that he looks for to be a guest on people's podcasts?
I would run away from people looking for guests, because that means they don't have content. That means they know what they're doing. And that means they have no audience. And that means they're not serving the audience. However, Aaron, you're an estate planner. Okay. Go to podcasts that would serve people in that place and offer them a tool, offer them a product, offer them something to give to their audience. Aaron, if you have a product, offer them into the affiliate program, that kind of thing. You know, if you go to those podcasts that meet that audience, here's how you can serve your audience. If you find somebody who says, oh, we just like to talk about stuff, you're never going to get a single lead. It's a waste of your time. So search podcasts in your industry, reach or search podcasts for your niche, reach out to them, offer to be a guest, and tell them how you will serve their audience. You'll be at a great place.
Good. All right. So, and it's interesting, right? Because if people are saying, hey, we're looking for guests, it probably means they don't have anyone. If they're not, but they're reaching your market, you could probably reach out to them. And I'll tell you, Aaron, there's a few podcasts that I've gotten on, and there's a handful that I've tried to get on. Initially didn't work, and I'll tell you what my strategy was. So the ones that I got on, I just reached out to the host and said, hey, I love your show. I'm interested in being a guest. But sometimes the contact form doesn't work, or they don't respond to you in Facebook. So the next step that I almost always take is I try to find out, who do I know that knows that person? And usually at that point, the person makes an introduction, and then I get on the show. So those are 2 different ways to get on shows. So Paul, quickly, what's the history? What's the backdrop? How'd you do the backdrop, Edwin Berry?
Well, it's Bunker Bash. Fact of the matter is, I moved out of my studio 3 days ago, and last night at about 8 o'clock, I had to get ready for the Bunker Bash. So this is it. Here we go.
Afghanistan. So
you want some pure transparency here? There we go. That's what you're looking at right now, my friend. That's what you're looking at. Instead, we're going with this match.
The Afghanis weren't giving the COVID-19 numbers, so Paul moved out of Oregon for safety. All right.
Yeah. This is necessity is the mother of invention. I will be redoing the recording, but wanted to have fun with Ed and with this whole bunker theme.
Thank you for the full transparency. I love it. By the way, nice comment from Jim Butts. My biggest takeaway: I now have a great list of considerations when I put my podcast together. And you'll remember Jim, Paul, from the events that we used to do.
Oh, yeah.
Denise says, I've heard podcast conversations when people keep interrupting each other. Is this good and keeping it rolling, or is it annoying to the podcaster? What do you think about that?
Run a test.
Yeah.
Do one where people talk over each other. Do one where people don't talk over each other. See how long they listen.
Interesting. By the way, this takes you back to which point? The numbers. Number 5. This takes you back to number 5. I love the answer, Paul. Thank you for that. Number 5 is to look at your numbers, and bonus tip was to make your decisions based on your numbers. And so that really flows right with what you just said. Try it one way, try it another way, and see what happens. So I like that. All right. Chess says, on promotion, what is the best platform to promote, if, in your opinion? And is there such thing as too much promoting? What do you think?
There's never such thing as too much promotion. In my opinion, that's never bad. The answer to which is the best platform is also the answer to how long is a piece of string. No, it depends what you're doing. It depends who,
Yeah.
if you've got a mailing list of a million people who open up their email every day, best platform's your email.
That's right.
Hands down.
That's right.
If you have a rabid following and you've got over 10,000 people on Instagram and people like to swipe up at all, that's really, really good. I like Overcast, which is one of the things that's in that big list. Overcast has an ad buying option. It's a small market, but it's the best way to buy an audience that doesn't know you. It really just depends on what you're doing. I haven't seen much success from people in Facebook yet, unless you're willing to pay about $6 or $7 per subscriber. But it just depends who your audience is, what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, so the first step there.
Russell Brunson did a thing where he did a loss leader of a preloaded media player with the last 350 episodes of his show. And then what he did was, for the people who said no, he said, that's okay, just subscribe to the podcast. And then it shot him up to #1 in business just by doing that. So it depends on what you're doing. Track the numbers, try them all, see what works.
Yeah, so 3 things really quickly, just to outline what Paul said. So first of all, there's a strategy I call love the one you're with. What that means is, if you've got a following someone somewhere, start there. So if you got a bunch of people on Instagram, start there. If you got a bunch of people on Facebook, start there. If you got a bunch of people on YouTube, then start there. Or if you have followers on your email list, start there. And frankly, I had the email, so that's where I started and brought people over to the show that's on YouTube and Facebook. The second part is, if you don't have an audience already, go where they are. So if you're working with business owners, go to LinkedIn. If you're working with 70-year-olds who like cat videos, then go to Facebook. You know what I'm saying? So go in front of the audience and where they are. Good. What?
But to what you said, if you're working with business owners, go to LinkedIn. See, what a lot of people do is, I'm working with business owners and I hear that TikTok is cool. So Chess, go to where your audience is. And I don't know who your audience is, but you do. That's the cool thing. You can't without that many kids. You know where your audience is and you know how they pay you. And so, we're at a good place here. Go there, market there, promote there.
All right. So this is the last question I've got. By the way, Jim says, nice to see you again. Let's see. Rob Actus says, what is the best, in your opinion, what's the best podcasting hosting platform? And just for some reference, Rob Actus is the audio talent, the voice talent that read my book, 21 Day Miracle. So if you go to Audacity and you get the 21 Day Miracle book, and I should just
Audacity is a recording platform.
Oh, did I say Audacity? Audible. Yeah. Oh, we were talking about Audacity today, about how it doesn't work. So thank you. Audible. On Audible, when you go to 21 Day Miracle, you'll hear Rob's voice reading my book. And by the way, if you were willing to try that book out in exchange for a great review, email me, okay? Because I've got some coupon codes for Audible, not Audacity. All right, now back to you, Paul, for the last question.
Here's the deal. At the time of this recording, I'm a big fan of Libsyn, Libsyn. And on that page, you've got a coupon code that will get you for the next month. So it's like, at the time of this recording, it's April 9th. If you use the coupon code Paul, you will get all of April, you will get all of May free, and you won't have to pay until June. For recording, Libsyn is my favorite. Now, I stress at the time of this recording because things change.
Yeah.
The microphone that I used to like is not the microphone that I like today, might not be the microphone I like next week. So that's why we have the podcastpartnership.com/recommends. I will always have there the host that I like the most. Right now, I love Libsyn, been there for a while. It would take a lot to get me away from them, but things can change. And by having this constantly updated tool, it's something that we can always go to.
All right, I'm going to share this tool right now because I told you that I was going to pull this page up. This, by the way, I don't need you to look at every line and jot and tittle on this. What I want to show you is what Paul is making available to you. And by the way, you don't even have to opt in for this right now. This is just a podcast. Podcastpartnership.com/recommends. And you can see you've got editing, you've got audio editing software, you've got headphones and interview recording. Paul, this resource is ridiculous.
And I just by the way, the stuff in bold is the stuff that we're using right now.
It's amazing. Let me tell you, I've not seen anything like this in terms of a resource guide for. I mean, you've even got TubeBuddy and things that, like YouTube. I use this, by the way. So this resource document is outstanding. This is Paul's document. If you links aren't working or something, you let him know. And also, he may get an affiliate commission, which he deserves, frankly, because this thing is amazing. Okay, so make sure you go there. That's totally free, and make sure you thank Paul for that, because that's a really, really great resource. All right, we have come to the end of our questions. Paul, I'm going to do a quick wrap up, and then I'm going to pitch it to you for your final thoughts. So before I do that, I'm going to take you through the tips really quickly, just to review. If you just joined us, my name is Ed Rush. I'm here with Paul Colligan. We're talking about the top 9 podcasting tips to broadcast your message. Number 1 was 6 key team members. That doesn't have to be you, or it doesn't have to be 6 different people. You can fill some of those roles, and you almost always will fill at least one of those roles. Number 2, tech is your friend. Number 3, know your niche. Number 4, have a conversation, not an interview. Number 5, look at your numbers. Number 6, accept responsibility for your actions. Number 7, serve the audience, not the checklist. Number 8, have a plan that you're willing to adjust. Number 9, know your OCG, which stands for optimum consumption goal. Number 9, that was number 9. Number bonus, make your decisions based on your numbers. Paul Colligan, final thoughts, take us home.
Ed once taught me the 4 M's. Ed, it's a beautiful thing, my friend. Market. Who's your market? That's that whole niche part. Message. What is your message to that market? You know, because your market could be stay-at-home moms. Your message could be humor, a break from staying home at momming. Your topic could be homeschooling. Your topic could be, living like the pioneer woman. There could be a lot of topics to a different market. Message. Third thing, where's the money in that? Okay. Because if this is a business podcast and there's no money in it, run away. Then the 4th is the media. Now, I love podcasting, and podcasting does some pretty amazing things, and podcasting makes some really cool things possible, but it might not be the best media. My mom, love her dearly, podcasting's not the way to reach mom. Printed page with really, really big letters is the way to reach mom. And so when you understand the market, message, money, media, now you've got a reason to podcast. And by the way, if you don't like the answer to what the media maybe, like, podcasting isn't for everybody. It's pretty powerful. It's pretty doable. But unless you know that market, message, money bit, it's there. And Ed, you'll notice on that landing page is a worksheet inspired by what you've taught me in the past. It's called the 4 M's of podcast monetization. So we'll end with that. At least I will.
I'm confused that you can't just call your mom. What's up with that? You have to.
Mom tells me, mom will tell you that she can't podcast because she doesn't have an Apple. And you ask my mom, won't your son buy you one? And she'll say, oh no, they're too complicated. One day I come, mom has the iHeartRadio app on her Kindle Fire. Didn't know mom knew how to install apps. Okay. And mom, why did you install the app? She said, because the radio told me to, which is a whole nother story. But I go, mom, I'm on that app. And mom, as only mom can do, she looks at me straight in the eye. She goes, no, hun, that's just for radio.
That's only better for famous people, Paul.
It gets better. I go, mom, I'm on the app. She goes, you mean you're on the radio now? And she was so happy. She was so proud of me. Still hasn't listened to a thing I've done, but there we go.
At least she's proud. All right, thank you so much for joining us, Paul. You're the man, dude. Thanks for coming. Thanks for the top 9 tips. Actually, there were 10 tips that you could use. Make sure to say hello to Paul in chat. We'll stick around here for just a couple minutes on chat to say hello to you, but we're going to wrap up the show. This was the top 9 podcasting tips to broadcast your message. There's Paul Colligan. You saw a brief clip of him with the actual green screen and not in the Afghani bunker. Thanks, Paul. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for joining us. All right, we'll talk to you guys soon.